Hi everybody, with you today, Mr. Salahu Hasni, a high school teacher of English in Mishlifen School in the direction of Ifrane. We are here today to review units 5 and 6 from the program of first year baccalaureate. We start with a grammar recap, and the grammar recap regards past simple versus past continuous. And here we have the different patterns in which we use the two tenses. First pattern. We can use past continuous plus while or as plus past continuous for two long actions in the past. While or as can come in initial position at the beginning of a sentence, plus the first action in past continuous and the second action in past continuous. The second pattern, while or as at the beginning of a sentence, and the first verb is in past continuous for a long action, and then a verb in simple past to interrupt or stop the long action. The third pattern, we begin with the past continuous and then when, and after that, an action that happens abruptly in simple past to stop or interrupt the long action. Last pattern, past simple plus past simple plus past simple to talk about a sequence of past actions with when or without when. You have to remember these patterns because this is exactly what we will see in the practice exercise that follows. There we go. So we have, the instruction is clear, put the verbs between brackets in the correct tense. I read a newspaper when Shella call. When the phone ring, I pick the receiver and start talking to her. While we have a conversation, someone knock at the office glass. As I busy talk, he go away. So notice here that we have first action here, followed by when and a short action call. So I was reading a newspaper when suddenly, so this happens abruptly, when Shella called. Now here we have when, and as you see, ring, pick, and start a sequence of past actions, which means that all the verbs are going to be put in past simple. When the phone rang, I picked the receiver and started talking to her. Next, while at the initial position, at the beginning of a sentence, plus a verb in past continuous, and then the verb, if it's a short action, comes to stop that long action. So while we were having a conversation, someone knocked at the office glass. Lastly, as in initial position is followed by a verb in past continuous, and then if the second action is a short action, it's put in simple past. As I was busy talking, he went away. So the next grammar lesson that we will recap before we do the practice exercise regards passive voice with tenses and passive voice with modals. So in active voice, this is the pattern subject plus main verb plus objects. So this is exactly the word order. In passive voice, the object changes position and takes subject position, plus the be verb in the tense of the main verb, and the main verb is put in past participle. For example, they grow, you see I highlight the verbs in red. Oranges is the object, they grow what? They grow oranges in Berkane. So oranges that we had here in passive voice, oranges, the object takes initial position, subject position, and then grow is in present simple. That present simple goes to the verb to be, are, and the main verb grow is put in past participle, in Berkane. Passive voice with modals, we follow this order in active voice, subject plus modal plus main verb. And the object in active voice changes position and it takes subject position, plus modal that we keep here unchanged, plus be, the be verb in bare infinitive, plus the main verb in past participle. For example, people can save energy in this way. So energy is the object, it takes initial position. Can we keep it unchanged? Save is in bare infinitive, the bare infinitive goes to the be verb, be, and then save is put in past participle. So energy can be saved in this way. Now we move on to the first practice exercise, and as you see here, it's a transformation exercise from active voice to passive voice. So we have 8 sentences to transform from 1 to 8, and before we start, I try to highlight the object in blue and the verb in red, because the object takes subject position and the main verb leaves its tense for the be verb and the main verb is put in past participle. So the garden is taken care of by Mr. Billy. 2, somebody built this mosque last year. We begin with this mosque, and built is in the past, so we put the verb to be in the past, plus built in past participle. It doesn't change, it's built. And we don't say, of course, by someone, because the agent or the subject is indefinite. So this mosque was built last year. 3, they speak English in that shop. English is the object, we begin with English. Speak is in the present, we put the verb to be in the present, and speak is put in past participle. So English is spoken in that shop. 4, the guests brought me a lot of gifts. As you see here, we have 2 objects, me and a lot of gifts. The guests brought what? They brought a lot of gifts to me. So we have the possibility to begin with me. In object position, it's me. If it changes to subject position, it's I. So I, brought is in the past. We put the verb to be in the past. I was, and brought is put in past participle. A lot of gifts by the guests. We can also start with the direct object, a lot of gifts. Here, a lot of gifts plural, so instead of was we use were, a lot of gifts were, and past participle of brought to me by the guests. 5, the box and me, again, 2 objects. This time we try to begin with the direct object, the box. The verb gave is in the past, the main verb is in the past. We put the verb to be in the past. So the box was, and the past participle of gave is, I'm sure you know it, it's given by the postman, because the agent is definite. Or we can begin with the indirect object me. So after the verb it's me, before the verb it's I. So I was given the box by the postman. 6, our grandma will look after the children. We begin with the children. Here we have modal plus bare infinitive of look. So the children, we said the modal is kept unchanged. So the children will be, the be verb in bare infinitive instead of look. And look after, the phrasal verb is put in past participle, looked after. So the children will be looked after by our grandma. 7, someone saw the criminal in the district yesterday. We begin with the criminal, the object, the criminal. Saw is in the past, that's the past of see, so it's was, the criminal was, and the past participle of saw is, I'm sure you know it, you know this one as well. Yes, you got it right. It's seen in the district yesterday, and we drop someone because it's an indefinite subject. The last one, 8, someone cleans the pavement once a week. We begin with the pavement. It takes subject position. Cleans is present simple. That present simple goes to the be verb. So the pavement is, and the past participle of clean, it's a regular verb, cleaned once a week. Next, we have a communication review. But before we do the review exercises, we go through a recap. And the 2 parts of the lesson are expressing interest and expressing indifference. We begin with different expressions for indifference. We can react expressing indifference to situations by saying, so what? I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Why tell me? Should I care? Or why should I care? Who cares? Or we can react to situations by expressing our interest and say, that sounds interesting. Wow, fantastic. Great idea. Wow, it's amazing. How interesting. Oh, sounds great. So remember these expressions because we need them in our practice. So we are going to react to situations by expressing our interest or our indifference. 1. My brother got a full mark in the physics exam. You? I'm sure you were able to express interest or indifference. One possibility can be, why tell me? 2. It is going to rain tomorrow according to the weather forecast. You? I'm sure you chose an expression for interest or indifference like, that sounds interesting. 3. Your friends are collecting money to publish the school magazine. You? I'm sure you were able to choose one of those expressions. And you can say, for example, oh, sounds great. 4. The local cinema is showing a film about strange creatures. You? Yes, definitely. You choose what to express. It doesn't matter to me, for example. Now we move on to the second practice exercise, and this time it's reacting to good news and bad news. Here we have news headlines taken from newspapers, and we are going to react using different expressions of bad news and good news. 1. Police arrest gang involved in robbery. Of course, this is not good news. So we can react like saying, oh, such a shame. Number 2, baby and mother killed in car accident. Of course, this is sad news. And you can react by saying, oh, how sad. 3, new SOS village opens in El Jadida. It's good news. And we can say, glad to hear that. And for 4, Maryam Amjoun wins reading contest. And it's good news. Wow, isn't that wonderful? For 5, bridge collapses due to heavy rain. Of course, this is bad news, and we can react by saying, really? This comes to me as a shock. 6, rescue ship saves illegal immigrants. Of course, this is sad news, and you can react by saying, oh dear, hard luck. Now we go on in this vocabulary review to do vocabulary. First exercise in this review is about vocabulary relating to newspapers or magazines. What do you call a newspaper or magazine that appears every day? I'm sure you got this one right. Daily, week, so easy to get, weekly, month. Yes, you're right, monthly. What do we call a newspaper or magazine that appears every 3 months or 4 times a year? This one is a little challenging, I guess. It's called quarterly. Yearly. Second exercise in this review, put the terms in the corresponding column. So we have lexical items in the box, and we need to put them in the right category. So the first category, vocabulary relating to TV, radio, internet, and newspapers. Let's begin with TV. Talk show. TV presenter inviting a celebrity to talk about daily life. Commercial or advert presented on TV. You know, they pause a movie or a program to present adverts, commercial. Soap opera, a series or serials dealing with a special group of people, you know, doing their jobs. So soap opera about detectives, about doctors, etc. A sitcom, a serial, a comic serial. That's all. Radio, you can talk about listeners, the audience of the radio, listeners. Wave, long wave, short wave, etc. News bulletin or news flash. And a phone-in, a program in which listeners call the radio presenter to ask him or her or ask the guest questions. So wave, news bulletin, phone-in, listeners, internet, website, chat room, email, social media. So concerning newspapers, we can talk about the ones that are left from the box, and they are editorial. The first article on the front page, so 2 items, editorial front page. Next, column. A section in a newspaper, like sports column, advice column, etc. Headlines, important titles in a newspaper. Front page, we talked about it already. There we go. And now we move on to the third review exercise, and this one deals with adjectives to describe television programs. Adjectives first. We can describe a TV program as being unrealistic, entertaining, awful, very bad, interesting, funny, awesome means great, super, realistic, boring, instructive or informative, and amusing. The TV programs we're going to describe are documentaries, soap operas, science fiction films, news, cooking shows, contest shows, comic shows, commercials, talk shows, football games. You have an example here. I dislike talk shows. I find them rather boring. I like documentaries because I find them informative. I don't like science fiction films because I think they are unrealistic. I prefer to watch football games because I think they are entertaining. Lastly, I love comic shows as I find them amusing. Our last exercise in this vocabulary review is about different hobbies and the qualities they require from the practitioner. So poetry or writing poems, it definitely requires imagination. Sculpture or making statues out of different materials like wood, metal, plaster, etc. Of course, again, here we need imagination. Weightlifting is lifting sports, it's lifting weights, sorry. We have this as an Olympic game, and it requires a lot of strength. Surfing, it needs also a strong body to do it. Surfing, it's a water sport. Hunting, it's a hobby for people who like to hunt animals in the forest. And of course, you need a special license to do that. And this hobby requires intelligence. Rugby is a sport in which we have a lot of physical contact, and it requires strength. You need to be strong to practice rugby. Acting is an art, and you need imagination and skills to be an actor. Playing chess, it's a board game. 2 players are involved in the game, and the winner says at the end, "Echekemat," and it needs intelligence. Playing chess, we need that, intelligence. And then fishing, or catching fish, you need also intelligence to be clever and patient to catch fish. Lastly, drawing is an art. Drawing paintings, drawing portraits, you need to have a lot of imagination to produce this. So here we come to the end of this presentation. I hope you've enjoyed the way I presented or I reviewed grammar, vocabulary, and communication. I'm looking forward to presenting another lesson. Until then, take care.